put it down.
Hello folks, I'm James and I'm your celebrant this afternoon. It's wonderful to see you all gathered here today in the beautiful surroundings of Hinwick House to celebrate the marriage of Sophia and Edward. I am told that there are one or two other parties going along up and down the country today, but I'm sure you'll all agree with me that this one here today and this celebration is by far the most important one. This is in fact the concluding part of Soph and Ed's wedding trilogy. As following on from their legal ceremony at the Register Office and the traditional Islamic nikah held this morning in the presence of the Imam, I welcome you now to share in the formal and public commitment they are making to one another in our ceremony this afternoon. Ed and Soph, thank you for your presence here today, and shortly they will ask for your blessing, encouragement and lifelong support for their decision to be married. Before we go any further, I just wanted to say how lovely it is to have the little ones here today. And I'd like to encourage they and their parents to make themselves at home and to feel free to move around the house and garden in whatever way it works best for them during the ceremony. At this point in a wedding, the traditional thing to do would be to ask, who gives this woman to be married here today? That seems just a tad old-fashioned though, so instead let's all just take a moment to show our appreciation to Sophia's dad, Siddiq, for doing her the honour of accompanying her down the aisle today. Thank you, sir. In fact, we really ought to take the opportunity to thank Sophia's parents, Siddiq and Parveen, and Edward's parents, Trevor and Fiona, for all that they've done over the years that's contributed to making these two the lovely pair that they are today. And lastly, a huge thank you to all of our wonderful groomsmen and bridesmaids. And I'd like to make a special mention here also for Pritika, who is here. Yes, she is here. Welcome. Pritika is here. She wasn't in the procession, but she's got a good excuse because she's on the verge of having a baby and wasn't going to let that stop her being here today. So we include her in that show of appreciation now. We now have our reading. It's taken from the Amber Spyglass, and it's been modified just a little bit for today. It's one that means a lot to Ed and Soph, who named their dog Lyra after one of the main characters in the book. They think that it sums up their feelings for one another really well. And I'd like to introduce Tara, who's going to come and read it for us. Have you got it there, or do you need one? Okay.
I will love you forever, whatever happens, till I die, and after I die, I'll drift about forever, all my atoms till I find you again. I'll be looking for you every moment, every single moment, and when we do find each other again, we'll cling together so tight that nothing and no one will ever tear us apart. Every atom of me and every atom of you. We'll live in birds and flowers and dragonflies, and pine trees and in clouds, and in those little specks of light you see floating in sunbeams. And when they use our atoms to make new lives, they won't just be able to take one, they'll have to take two. One of you and one of me.
Would you like to hear a story?
Yeah.
Not sure?
Yeah.
So would you like to hear a story?
Yes.
Good, because I'd like to tell you the love story of Edward and Sophia. It all began at the Cadbury's chocolate factory in Birmingham back in January of 2017. Other confectionery brands are available. Sophia had just started in her new role in the finance department, and she remembers Edward coming into a meeting looking rather scruffy, dressed in his dirty production wear. He still made an impact though. At the time, Soph was a work hard and party girl, and Ed lived for a holiday and his hockey. In the coming weeks and months, they gradually got to know each other at work over tennis and Tesla chats. And then, after she invited him to her birthday party, he asked her out. A lunch date followed at a little coffee shop in Leamington, at the end of which they both felt relaxed and certain that there would be another date soon. Soph was shocked, though, that Ed paid the bill that day, because she already knew by then how much of a tightwad he could be. Just shows he must have been keen. The following summer was a really warm one, and they found themselves preferring to spend more and more time together, slowly coming to the realisation that they were really falling for each other and that they could have a future together. Fast forward 3 years to August of 2021. The place was Richmond in London. They were on a romantic weekend away, their first time staying in a hotel since the pandemic. Ed popped the question as soon as they arrived in their hotel room, and so said yes. Then they headed out for a really nice meal to celebrate, and like you do, they took lots of photos and spent time admiring the engagement ring, letting their friends and family in on the big news the next day. It was worth admiring the ring not only because it's lovely, but because Ed had waited for it to arrive for ages, with the delivery date being put back so much an earlier weekend away had to be cancelled. They were lucky with the timing in the end, as Ed got pinged the next day and had to go for a PCR test. And that could have completely scuppered his proposal plan. So very importantly, what is it that makes them so good together? One important thing is that they feel very relaxed in each other's company. This means that they can be open and frank, and so keep learning more about themselves and each other. They also share a similar mindset and are both very determined, which keeps them strong when things go awry. Soph tells me that Ed doesn't shy away from a challenge and always wants to be the best he can. It can get a bit annoying at times, as he's very competitive, although it does inspire her to join him in those challenges sometimes. She says that he keeps her on her toes. He's got a very caring nature and a good sense of humour, very much on the dry side. Conversations with him are sometimes a bit random, but most days she learns something new from him. For Ed, it's that Soph really gets people and cuts straight to the heart of any matter, good or bad. She always appears at home in any social situation, even if she doesn't feel like that. She is really hard-working and challenging. She also livens his day up when he gets home, perhaps with an impromptu dance, an odd accent, or just with a laugh together. Have you got an accent for us now? maybe later, after some champagne. She's also very selfless, conscientious, and direct, though not always in the moment. I asked them about annoying things that the other does, to which Ed replied, her insistence on telling me both how to achieve something and what it should end up like, even when the two of them are entirely incompatible. Then being upset at the end result or the method, or usually both. For Soph, in similar territory, but from a different perspective, it's his interpretation of messages and instructions. Well guys, it's good to have that out in the open, as any relationship or marriage is of course always a work in progress. The two of them share a love of good food, both eating it and cooking it, of gardening and DIY, and of exploring new places. They've had some amazing adventures together in some fabulous locations in Cappadocia in Turkey and Karpitia in Sri Lanka, which are both special places for them. Closer to home, so are the Hopwood services. mainly because of the electric car chargers there. Their Tesla charging dates were one of the ways that they connected. And there were definitely comments at work about them both having the same car. Memorable moments from their travels include the scuba diving, and Ed said it was watching Soph go from pangry, which is panic angry, to calm and peaceful. It was a hard but rewarding experience, I'm told. There was also the day when they went paddleboarding, and after Soph had fallen in, they saw a small caiman in the river. And sorry, Soph, there was another little mishap when you disappeared from the driver's seat of the 4x4 whilst Ed was teaching you to off-road. It was because you decided to adjust your seat on a steep incline after a bend with a large drop behind it. On a more serious note, though, getting the keys to their house felt like an important milestone, and welcoming their dogs Oates and Lyra into their lives and sitting back feeling like a new little family was very special. The dogs both wanted to be here today, but they're away on a nice farm holiday instead. Since falling in love and in their journey together, Soph and Ed have come to appreciate that life is what you make of it. And very importantly, that they're not alone on that journey. They look forward to continuing to feel comfortable and content with each other, and to constantly discover new aspects of their relationship in the years to come. One day they would love to build their own modern farmhouse with space to entertain family, pets and friends, and in time to start a family of their own. For the time being, though they're quite comfortable in life as it is, and they've created a lovely home, they enjoy going on exciting trips together and feel very lucky to be able to do more or less what they want. However, in the short term, the one thing they would still like to do is get married. And you know, I think we can probably help them with that. Of course, they can't do it on their own. Two people in love do not live in isolation. Their love is a source of strength with which they may nourish not only each other, but also the world around them. And in turn, we, their community of friends and family, have a responsibility to this couple. By our steadfast care, respect and love, we can support their marriage and the new family that they are creating today. Will everyone please rise? You can stay, you stay comfy. Okay. A question for you. Will all of you present here today surround Edward and Sophia in love, offering them the joys of your friendship and supporting them in their marriage?
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you once more. Can you do that, folks?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Please be seated. We now come to the marriage vows. Would you prefer to stay sitting or stand for these guys?
I think stand,
Quite nice
yeah.
to stand and face each other. I didn't want to disturb
No.
your train. That one's for you. That one's for you.
Thank you.
Okay. So, firstly, I'd like to invite Ed to make his vow to Sophia.
It is with both pride and joy that I take you for my wife. Together we can weather any storm, no matter the season of our lives. I'm in love with you, our bond and our future. I promise to love and cherish you for all the rest of our days.
And from Sophia to Edward.
Today, with our loved ones present, I sincerely make my vows. To be worthy of your love is an honour, and I will do my best to remain worthy of this love. Even when things are not perfect or going our way, I will be by your side to help. We are a team, so let's continue to keep winning with our future goals for happiness together. I promise to listen to your advice, even if I don't always take it. What may come, I promise to always be there with love and support to help you reach your hopes and dreams. I love you more than yesterday, but not as much as tomorrow, and will love and care for you now and forever.
Thank you. And I'd just like to say that they'd not heard those vows until this moment. We now come to our exchange of rings, and at weddings there's often a bit of a kerfuffle about where the rings are and have they got lost. So today we've entrusted them to two very special ring bearers, little Adam who's 4 and Timmy who's 2.
The other way
Sorry,
around.
little Adam who's 2 and Timmy who's 4. And they're going to appear any moment.
He had a pink one, yeah.
We're on strike, are we?
They've both gone missing.
Get the right ones, guys.
Yeah. Do you want to pick them?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. They're both with us in spirit, though, I'm sure. Are you ready?
Yeah.
The ring is an ancient symbol, so perfect and simple. It has no beginning and has no end. It is round like the sun, like the moon, like the eye, like the arms that embrace. It is a circle, for love that is given comes back round again. Edward, would you please repeat after me? Sophia, I give you this ring, wear it with love and joy.
Sophia, I give you this ring, wear it with love and joy.
As it has no end, neither shall my love for you.
As it has no end, neither shall my love for you.
I choose you to be my wife this day and forevermore.
I choose you to be my wife this day and forevermore.
Would you please repeat after me? Edward, I give you this ring, wear it with love and joy.
Edward, I give you this ring, wear it with love and joy.
As it has no end, neither shall my love for you.
As it has no end, neither... Sorry, can you repeat
As
that?
it has no end, neither shall my love for you.
As it has no end, neither shall my love for you.
I choose you to be my husband this day and forevermore.
I choose you to be my husband this day and forevermore.
Do please pop the ring on. Thank you, thank you. We would all be delighted if you would now seal your commitment to your marriage and your future life together with a kiss. Edward and Sophia are now going to sign a certificate in commemoration of this ceremony. Whilst they do that, please just talk amongst yourselves, don't go anywhere, enjoy the music, and if you wish, take a photo or two. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great joy that I present you with our newlyweds, Edward and Sophia. Enjoy, take time.
Save me, I'm sinking I'm holding on to all that's left. Come in close, don't let me go. Heart in hand, we'll let it grow. Let's start again. We'll find our way, our promised land. Come in close, don't let me go. Heart in hand, we'll let it grow. All my love is yours to sow. Heart in hand, we'll let it grow. And just let it grow. I won't let you go. It's you I hold. And just let it grow. I won't let you go.
Forming photographs alone. Newfound wanderings, smiles come upon. Tying strings to rain clouds, carving room for love forgone. Footprints disappear below. Silent gravity, less than what we know. Time was waiting for us to find ourselves and lose control. Never want to let this go. Into the cold. Not afraid to fall if this is something real. Not afraid to find our way whenever what we feel might roam. Time can only make this glow. This firestone. have to hold back. Your radiance is next to me. We can set the seasons free and let them be. Not afraid to fall if this is something real. Not afraid to find our way whenever what we feel might roam. Time can only make this glow. This firestone.
Can you hear me, first of all? Fantastic. Do feel free to get up and move around as you need to during the speeches. But first, I'd like to thank you all for coming today. I know some people have come a long way, and some people have come a very long way. But from wherever you've come from, thank you very much for showing your support for Ed and Sophia on this most wonderful day. Fee and I have been looking forward to this for quite some time, not least because it marks the occasion when Ed and Sophia have chosen each other as the people to be with for the rest of their lives. And that's a very precious thing. I was a bit surprised though when Ed asked me to do a speech. I thought that was a bit brave, Ed. And then I thought, well, why has he done this? Oh, I know. It's because he wants me to dredge up various incidents from his childhood. Well, I'll do my best. Well, where should we start? How about with an identity crisis? I mean, we've all heard over recent years of males people being born a male and wanting to transition to female, and for people being born female and wanting to transition to being male. And a lot of this happens during the adolescent years. In Ed's case, it happened at the age of 4 and in a rather strange manner. One day we were out for a day out, and all of a sudden Ed started crying. Oh, Ed, what's the matter? He turned around and he said, I think I've become a panda. Well, pandas were indeed very important to Ed's early life. I mean, they may still be, I don't know, but they certainly were very important. In fact, pandas were some of the first things he had. From birth, he was given a little cuddly toy panda called Norman, because Norman was the person who gave it to him. And this was such a successful naming strategy that there soon followed others. There was Mary Panda. I can leave you to work it out. There was Jackson Panda. There was Little Panda. I'm not quite sure who Little Panda was named after, but I think that may have been a sizist comment. And there was Boris Panda. No, there wasn't Boris Panda. But I'm just glad there wasn't a Boris Panda, to be honest. So anyway, all these pandas mounted up, and soon there was very little room in Ed's bed because they were so full of pandas. I mean, there were other animals too, but they never really got a look in. It was all about the pandas. The pandas went on holiday with us. The pandas, they had a fun life. They deserved to have a fun life. We found on one occasion, Ed had strung a piece of string from the window of his bedroom outside, halfway down the garden. He had produced a zip wire just for pandas. And then we discovered one by one the pandas had been hung by this wire and went down the zip wire. He wanted them to have fun. Of course, pandas need feeding as well. And we all know what pandas eat. Timmy here. Timmy knows what pandas eat. What do pandas eat? Bamboo! Pandas eat bamboo. So, when Ed was little, whenever we went to a garden centre and bought something, we also had to look at the bamboo because we had to grow our own bamboo for this family of pandas that had been amassed. And so gradually, I mean, you know what bamboo's like in a garden. Gradually, we had all sorts of bamboo and it spread absolutely everywhere. I think there might be some bamboo in your current address. So one day, we went to Bristol Zoo for a day out because Bristol Zoo has got pandas. They're not the full-size black and white Chinese pandas. They're little red pandas, but we thought, well, that'll have to do, won't it? So we went to Bristol Zoo. It was a hot day. We enjoyed ourselves walking around the zoo. And to our surprise, they'd arranged some face painting. And you could have your face painted whatever you wanted. Well, no surprises for guessing what Ed chose to have his face painted. A panda, indeed. And later on that day, we went into the bathrooms and Ed looked in the mirror. And in the mirror, he saw not Ed, but a panda. And so he turned round and burst into tears. I've turned into a panda! Well, I hope the emotional scar's not been too big, Ed. In fact, I think one thing that you have learnt over the years is resilience. The ability to bounce back, to be able to handle life's ups and downs. You have inner strength and outer kindness. When there's a difficult situation, you are always very calm. You have respect for others. Your mum and I are proud of you beyond words. Only last Christmas, on Christmas Day, when we were due to go down to visit Gran, but we weren't able to because of COVID, and we had become a COVID risk. Ed and Sophia stepped in at the last moment, cobbled together an entire roast lunch, drove down to Stroud, prepared the meal for Gran and stayed with her for Christmas Day. I know that Gran appreciates that. And so do we. Of course, you have your idiosyncrasies. I mean, justice is one of them. A feeling for justice. I mean, parents here will know when you bring up your children and they exhibit a feeling, a sense of justice, you think, oh, yeah, I've done something right. That's really good. Well, I have to say to you, yes, but be careful what you wish for. When Ed was a little bit older, in his teenage years, homework became a bit of a problem. We tried to encourage him to do his homework. That didn't work. We tried subtle hints to do his homework. That didn't work. We tried just letting him alone to see if he would do his homework. That didn't work either. And when we tried to broach the subject, we were told that homework breached his human rights. So we had to bite our tongue many, many years later after he'd started at Cadbury's as an apprentice. And then later on, he had begun to manage apprentices, new apprentices. He came and told us frustratedly one day, he said, these young 16 and 17-year-old apprentices, they just can't knuckle down at college. It's so frustrating. We were good. We didn't say anything. But Cadbury's was really one of the best things that happened to you, I think, Ed, because Cadbury's, of course, was where you met Sophia. I don't think we know the full story, but we know it's got something to do with Teslas. And I do remember feeling a slight sense of childish fun when Ed went on holiday and I was allowed to drive the Tesla. Well, the deal was that I could have the Tesla as long as I provided the taxi service to and from the airport. And I thought that was fair enough. And so on this particular occasion, I was meeting Ed back off the plane. And I went to the airport with the Tesla. And it was a sort of just before breakfast time, and Ed said he was going to go into work afterwards. So we thought we would offer him some breakfast before he went into work. Anyway, he got off the plane, and we met Ed and his friend. And we said to his friend, well, would you like some come back for some breakfast too? And she said yes. And that was the first time we met Sophia. We like to have a large Christmas do, a large family Christmas. And that Christmas, Ed suggested that Sophia joins us. And of course we said, yes, that'd be absolutely wonderful. We'd be more than happy, delighted for her to come. Though I have to say, we were just a little bit concerned about Sophia meeting, a large group of Pethiks, all in one go. Yeah. But I have to say, you coped extraordinarily well that time. Families, of course, all have their own particular quirks. And our family is absolutely no different in that respect. We have our silly games. We have very strange ways of talking to our pets. But Sophia, we couldn't be happier that you are joining us. It was a pleasure also last year to meet with Sadiq and Parveen. And a few weeks ago at the registry office, we met also with Sophie's nan and some other family members. Ed and Sophia, may you be richly blessed in your marriage. You are obviously in love, and we want you to know that you have our full love and support. There is a Celtic blessing. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May sunshine warm upon your face, and may rain fall freshly on your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the hollow of his hand. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to join me in a toast. I would advise you that you remain seated, because I know it's not easy for everyone to get up. To Ed and Sophia.
Ed and Sophia.
Okay, now the camera can hear me as well. First of all, welcome everybody. I hope you're all having a good evening and a good day so far. It's been fantastic. Food's been great, and of course we've had lots of drink and loads of conversation and merriment, which is fantastic. But Trevor, I've learnt a few things just now about about Ed, which perhaps I could have done with knowing a few weeks ago. But none of those are bad. All of those are good. And I've discovered a few things myself just through conversations with Ed over the last few months or a year that have been really pleasing, because they are characteristics that are very similar to my own. So to have Ed as a son-in-law, which you are now, is particularly gratifying, because I've got things that I've got in common which I don't have with my wife, and to be fair, I don't have with Sophia either. So we do have something in common, which I'll come on to in a moment. But Trevor, you were saying about the panda and about the crisis and about face painting. Well, Sophia too went through, as a lot of girls do, went through a phase of wanting a face painted, and it's, you know, all very popular. And in Sophia's case, when she was about 10 or 11, I'm sure she remembers it. It was actually in a venue very similar to this, local to where we are, called Himley Hall, and there was a function there, and she had her face painted as a cat, I believe it was. It was a feline animal anyway, with whiskers and all. It was really good face painting, and I've got a cracking photograph of you, Sophia. I'm sure you remember it, with Himley Hall in the background. So clearly both Ed and Sophia have got at least that in common. That's a love of animals. Well, clearly they love animals, so they've got two very sort of energetic dogs who, if they were here today, I'm sure we'd all love them. So they do love animals, and they certainly have had face paintings of animals during their childhood. But I think if I can just say, from my wife Paveen and from Sophia's nan, she's just gone to rest, Sophia's nan, we're all so pleased that Sophia's met somebody like Ed, that she's got a lot in common. Clearly they love each other, clearly they get on with each other, and clearly, as Trevor said, the reason why Sophia was able to fit into or relate to the Pethiks or any family is because at heart Sophia has always been and still is what we call a social animal. She loves to be around people, she engages really well people, and that's why she does very particularly well at work. Two of Sophia's colleagues were talking to me, weren't you, earlier in the hall there, and talking about how Sophia's been fantastic at work, but a lot of that isn't just about the professionalism or the ability, but it's about being able to relate to people, about being sociable, either in a work setting or in a more family setting. And Sophia's always been that. Not so much her two brothers, but Sophia certainly is that. So we've got no doubt in our mind that Sophia is going to do really well. She's going to have a lovely family future, and she's picked the right guy to have that with. I mean, we know what brought Ed and Sophia together because Trevor's told us about that, about Cadbury's, the company where they both work. But of course, the bit about the Teslas, about the cars, I mean, those of you know me, certainly my brother, he's more of a motor head or a petrol head or a gear head, whatever you want to like, a car person. My son is more of a car person than I am. For me, a car is just A to B. But when I heard about the Tesla car company, and when I heard that Sophia was going to buy one, I was ecstatic as well. And my deal, Trevor and Fiona, with Sophia was that if you put me on your insurance, then I will take you whenever you want to go. And when the car's doing nothing at Cadbury's car park, I will drop you off. I'll get up extra early. I will drop you off and then pick you up at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, just so that I could use the car for a long trip to Gloucester or London or Wales or wherever I needed to go. So not just a short trip, but a reasonably long trip. One or two of you know that I, believe it or not, do a little bit of extra work, or supporting artists, as they say, in film and television over the last 4 or 5 years. And one of the joys was that if I could, during the summer months, have Sophia's Tesla and drive down to the film studio and park it up, then everybody was asking about this car, which of course wasn't mine. I certainly couldn't afford it. Sophia was the one with the deep pockets, and but I had it for the day, and it was always a talking point. So it was a little bit sad when first Sophia decided to get rid of a Tesla, which Trevor didn't mention because they don't have them now, and then Ed decided to hand his back as well for a variety of reasons. And in fact, when Ed's car was about to be collected, They'd went on holiday, so who should go to their house and actually wait for the Tesla guy to turn up? He couldn't get in, we couldn't get it open, and I was phoning Ed, was it in Greece? Yeah. In Greece, and saying, can you unlock it from there, and so on and so. But in the end, what it was some other issue when we got in, and he wanted to check the mileage, I think it was the odometer, but he managed to do that, and he pulled it up onto the trailer and towed it away. And that was a little bit sad for me, and I don't even own it. And I did say to Ed, I'll take a video for you, because I'm sure it must be traumatic. So I can't wait for when they trade this car in and get another Tesla. And of course, Tara's here, and Tara's bought a Tesla to come out in sympathy. So thanks for doing that, Tara. So I loved driving the Tesla, and at some point I'd like to think that I'd like to get one, even though I said I'm not a car person, but that's one of my ambitions. So why Sophia? I don't mean, yeah, Sophia is our daughter. I don't mean why Sophia. I mean, why did we name her Sophia? Out of all the actors and actresses and film stars, and I'm a big film buff, out of all the actors and actresses, the only actress that my father, who passed away about 5 years ago, that our father openly would admit that he liked an actress was Sophia Loren. He wouldn't quite openly say it like that, but if it was a film of Sophia Loren's on, he would make sure that he watched it. And I like Sophia Loren's films as well, and of course she's still acting today. So we wanted to name Sophia with a name that was reasonably Western and familiar, but also had a connotation of the old world as well, the Far East. And it was either, funnily enough, Nadia was one of the contenders, and my niece is called Nadia now. Either Nadia, because I also had a thing for Nadia Comaneci, the gymnast back in the 70s. Yeah, I just love the name. I was too young for that. It was either Nadia or Sophia. Now, one of our family friends, who Sophia knows, Julian, who I grew up with, he used to say to me, did you name Sophia after the character Sophia from the Golden Girls? And those of you remember the Golden Girls on TV, very successful series in the late 80s, early 90s, and of course Sophia being born during that time. I said, no, nothing to do with, although we did watch that programme quite a lot, nothing to do with that, it was after Sophia Loren. So sort of a dedication to my father. It was the one actress that he used to mention, but I hope Sophia's life is rich and full with Ed, as Sophia Loren's has been in the film industry, and she's still, a dedication is she's still going strong. Now, Sophia is definitely, and I'm sure Ed's found this out already, determined. She's driven. She wouldn't be where she is today if she wasn't. She certainly took a driving test 4 times. And it was on the 4th time she finally passed. So her determination is, I'm going to get it done no matter what. That's exams, that was the driving test, that was work, interviews, whatever it was. Falling at the first hurdle just wasn't an option for her. So determined, driven, what's that? No, not demented. Sorry. I should have crossed that out. Dedicated, definitely dedicated to whatever she does, and I think Trevor alluded to that with Ed, and of course that's something they have in common. They are very dedicated to family, they're very dedicated to the parents, they're very dedicated to their work, to their careers, but also to the simpler things in life, like the garden or the dogs, or hello Adam, hello, have you come back? Are you okay? No, not to worry. So they're very dedicated to their respective fields. Now, Ed again, I'm sure you already know, because I've seen hints of it in your face occasionally, that she's a bit of a handful. Sophia is a handful, and we all know it. Sophia's uncles know it, we know it, and when she gets something a bit between her teeth, it's very difficult to persuade her not to have that particular item, or not to do. For example, when she was about, I forget the exact year, but when she was about 14 maybe, she came running into the house, and knowing that I would say no, and her mum was at work at that time, she ran to her nan and says, I need £14 now, right now. And I thought, £14, that's a lot of money. What do you want that for? She wanted to have her hair done for some party or get together. £14, and I balked at it. I thought, there's no way you're having £14 for a, probably was going to be a perm or something. But her nan gladly, it was the early 90s, her nan gladly gave her the £14, and she went and spent it on a hairdo. So whatever she wanted, she wants a Tesla car that's very expensive, she went and got it. If she wanted to get her own house straight away as a single person, she got it. Okay, we helped her a little bit. Don't forget that, Sophia. But we're so proud of the new nice big house that they've got, and of course coming together and finding a life in that new home. We're so proud of both of you for bringing us with you, along with you, for your journey in your new life. Just going back to what I was saying about Ed. Ed has an interest in science fiction, in novels, in classic novels from the 50s and 60s, and it's something that I've read quite a lot of, and I've still got some in the attic. And as soon as Ed told me this, we started talking about the new movie that was coming out last year, Dune. Oh, shall we go and see it? And he was up for it, and Sophia definitely wasn't up for it. So we said, okay, well, you can stop at home and we'll go. And so Ed and I went to the cinema. But of course, it hasn't all been lost on Sophia, because a lot of me and her mum has rubbed off, as it does with your children. And one of the things is that, and I think it was Pritika, wasn't it? I think you said to me, and Pritika, you're here? Yes? That we went to see, I think it was one of the Star Trek films at a big IMAX screen. Those of you who are not in the know, basically it's a huge cinema screen in Birmingham. And Sophia said, oh, I want to see that on the biggest screen possible. So we went, and I think we went twice. And then about 2 months later, she said to me proudly, I took Pritika and some of my friends to see that Star Trek film, but I insisted they'll have to pay the extra to go to this huge giant IMAX screen, because that's the only way to see it. Is that right, Pritika? Yeah. So I felt quite proud of that, actually. I thought Sophia had not quite been that enamoured with finding the best cinema or the best sound. Some of that, what I'd sort of mentioned to her, certainly rubbed off. And I hope that Ed and I can clearly watch some more films or discuss classic science fiction stories and writings and authors in the coming months and years. Just a couple of things about Sophia's determination as a primary school child. Before that hairdo incident, when she was in primary school, Sophia said to the head teacher, and in fact she wasn't even in primary school, I think, her older brother was in primary school, just 2 years her senior, and she'd gone to pick him up with her nan and turned round to the head teacher, whose name was Mr. Higgins, and said, Mr. Higgins, why can't I come into your school? I'm ready. Okay, and of course he didn't forget that. So when she did eventually join that particular primary school, she was in the choir, she was in the plays, she was in the productions at Christmas. So she was really, as I said earlier, that social animal. There was the birthday parties at the cinema, again, early thing at the cinema. And so she's always been very, very socially minded, and that's what she's good at, and I think that shows. And then at high school, well, actually, less said about high school, the better. I won't say much about that. And then at Stourbridge College, where she studied for her A-levels, she got on with some of the lecturers, but not with all of them. And of course, when Sophia doesn't get on with somebody, she lets them know, even if it means possibly risking a lower grade at the end of the year. And that's the way Sophia is. She speaks her mind. Going to university, she decided to go to Aberystwyth. It wasn't my influence. I went to Cardiff. So she said Aberystwyth, so that's where she went, and we took her down. Within 6 months, no, this isn't for me, I want to move. And so she just made her own plan, sorted out the student finance, sorted out a slightly different course, and ended up going to Sheffield. And of course, it was in Sheffield that she met so many lovely friends and their families who are here today, without whose help certainly I would be lost, certainly Paveen would be lost in organising all of this, not just Hasham, not just Sheila, not just Pritika, not just Tara, and all the others. I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but all those friends from Sheffield, and I don't particularly like Sheffield. Sorry if I offend anybody. Only because I didn't get into Sheffield University when I applied, so I ended up going to Cardiff. But she loved it, she made some great friends, but it was again her determination to move after 1 year from Aberystwyth to Sheffield under her own steam and go from a lovely seaside town to a slightly waterlogged and wet and a town up north. But of course she flourished there and she met some wonderful friends, and that's where she started a working career. So clearly she wouldn't be where she is today without those decisions. And then just a couple of things to end with before we toast the couple, and that is Sophia's very good at talking the talk. She's very good at getting her way. She's very good at having the final word in a nice way. So Ed, can I please ask you occasionally say to her, let me say something. Okay? Because that's what I have to do on a regular basis. I don't always succeed, but then who does? Okay? So please bear that in mind. So please enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you for listening to my few words, and let's give a warm toast to Sophia and Ed. Sophia and Ed. Thank you.
Hello, good evening and welcome everybody. It's quite hard to follow through these two speeches that we've just had from Ed's dad and now Soph's dad. First, I'd like to say thank you to everybody for being here for this special day for Soph and Ed. Both of you look bloody amazing. Honestly, Soph, you look so beautiful, and Ed, you don't scrub up too well. Or you do scrub up too well, I don't know, but no, really, looking good. I'm not going to keep you as long as both the fathers have. I know there's a lot of, a bit of drinking to do and a bit of dancing to do, so let's get to it. I'm not a public speaker and I'm not really good at speeches, but Soph asked me, she's my best friend, and I will literally lay my life down on the line for her, so here we are, yay! And tomorrow you'll see me trying to do a dance. But yeah, thank you. I am Sophia's best friend, one of her best friends that don't know me. We met, let's get back to that. My name is Ramin, and we met back in college, Stourbridge College, where we were fresh-faced and doe-eyed, very young, and we instantly hit it off after meeting in our accounting class, didn't we? Maybe 1 or 2 weeks, because we were a bit like, competition. But no, I think a couple of weeks after we hit it off, and there we were, and soon became partners in crime. I've decided not to tell any embarrassing stories because mostly it would embarrass myself, but also our parents probably don't know about half of them. So I think I'm just going to skip most of the embarrassing stories and, you know, like how we met and what we did, but we had a lot of fun. Yeah, so a lot of good times were had, and we've rode the highs and the lows together, which has brought us to this very special day. And what a privilege it is to be here today and to witness one of my oldest friends that I have to date and dearest friends to get married to a very special gentleman that we have, Ed. And now this bit I need to miss out. So, as some of you may know, we were missing our dear friend Pritika, but we're not. She is here today. She is at the verge of giving birth. She is very, very overdue. And she wasn't supposed to be here, but she's made it here intact with the baby still inside. So we kind of wrote a speech together for Soph and Ed. But she's here and she's over there. The baby's still intact. We're over here. We wrote the speech together. It's a heartfelt message from both me and Pritika to Soph and Ed. So here we are. Heartfelt message to the newly married couple from both me and Prit, Soph and Ed. We are so thrilled to see you become man and wife. Now the real fun begins. We wish you happiness and abundance, a union filled with joy, laughter in the good times and strength in the bad. As your sisters, Soph, we should also warn you that marriage is roses and love, but it's also loving your partner when they're the most unlovable, which Prit says is 90% of the time, and I agree. So me and Pritika are both married, you know, and we've been married for a few years, and we know, like, our partners can be a little bit, So 90% may not be the average for a lot of people here, but you know, we're just kind of speaking from the last week that we've had with our partners. But anyway, on a more serious note, I'd like to leave you two with a bit of advice. Love isn't perfect. It isn't a fairy tale or a storybook, and it doesn't always come easy. Love is overcoming obstacles. It's facing challenges. It's fighting to be together. It's holding on and never letting go. So, from my heart to yours, and I would say from my experiences, that I would say just whatever you're going through, whatever crappy lows and highs, you know, it could be, just hold on and just remember that today is the day that I would say is that when you least loved each other, because from each day that you will go forward, your love will grow and grow and you will love each other more and more. So this is your wedding day. It's the most special day, but it is the day that you loved each other the least. And that is it. I'm not going to keep any longer. So please join me in wishing these two a happy wedding day and lots of love to come, and hopefully loads of more puppies and maybe children coming aboard. So here's to Soph and Ed. Cheers.
Cheers, thank you.
Hi everyone. You all must feel honoured. You've been invited to the biggest celebration in the UK this weekend. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Adam and I'm the best man. Ed and I have known each other for about 11 years, during which time we've travelled the world and shared many adventures together. We first met all those years ago at Cadbury as apprentices, the same place Ed met the other love of his life, Sophia. I know everyone agrees with me when I say how beautiful Sophia looks today. I remember when Sophia first came to Bourneville all those years ago, and everyone wanted to know who this smart, successful, beautiful young woman was. Back then, what absolutely no one expected to happen is for Ed Pethick to be sitting next to her today. No, we didn't. While Sophia has a passion for fashion, is always well dressed and immaculately turned out, Ed, on the other hand, is without a doubt the scruffiest man I know. Is he wrong? While Sophia is kind and generous, Ed can't share a sharing platter. He certainly did not want to pay for the food here today, ladies and gentlemen. As such, I'd like to thank Sophia for getting Ed dressed today. You both look great, and for organising such a wonderful day. Thank you. I mentioned earlier that we've shared many adventures over the years. And for those of you who aren't aware of Ed's more adventurous side, I thought I'd share a few stories with you now. So, Ed has persuaded me to rent rickety scooters and follow him down the scenic route. The Top Gear film team could have filmed a 4x4 off-road special on this death trap of a route. Yet Ed soldiered on through potholes and sand traps with his legs held akimbo and his flip-flops barely holding on. Halfway through the scenic route there was a crevasse, the path washed away by a mudslide. The only way over was on a bridge made of branches tied together with shoelaces. Rather than turn back, Ed channeled his inner Evel Knievel and flew across the chasm to the cheers of the gathered locals. That man. One time I flew into Southeast Asia expecting to meet Ed. Instead, I found waiting for me a scruffy version of Leonardo DiCaprio from the beach. And in his hand he held a map. It was in the form of a blog post from 20 years ago, detailing how to journey to a mythical crocodile sanctuary. Like the film, no one believed it existed. You'll have to ask Ed if he got us there. We did. I was with Ed when we witnessed a 6-foot snake come out of the jungle, rear up and chase people. It was carnage. Survival of the fittest. Grown men ran and left their wives and children behind. Fortunately, I felt safe as I cowered behind that hunk of a man. Me and Sophia have had the dubious honour of being the guinea pigs on a sailing boat that Ed was captaining for the first time. He managed to charter not just any boat, but a racing boat. Not all went smoothly. I'll never forget a siren going off, warning us of the rocks we were obliviously racing toward after Ed had difficulty setting the anchor. I know. What an anchor. After following Ed on a hike through a Thai national park, we ended up lost in the pitch black, in the jungle, covered in leeches. We were looking for our accommodation, a treehouse above a river. Fortunately, we were rescued by a bunch of loggers in their pickup truck. Ed was stood in the back, hugged to a railing in fear of his life as we skidded round corners, bounced down the road and eventually crashed into a ditch. Ed's done many things. Ed has crossed rivers on ferries that no Westerners have ever crossed before. He's scrambled down into lagoons he couldn't get out of. He's waded through ice-cold rivers. He's climbed up all manner of objects. Relaxed on catamarans. Spent a weekend with a man who barked like a dog. He's had lunch at the top of waterfalls, and once he boxed a kangaroo. That man. Once on a Vietnamese bus, I sat at the front whilst Ed sat with the cool kids at the back. And by cool kids, I mean an 80-year-old grandma and her grandchildren. For that half-hour bus journey, I tried to work out two things. Firstly, why was the bus so cheap? Were we given a discount for some unknown reason? And secondly, what was Ed doing for half an hour that reduced the back of the bus to absolute hysterics? I found out when we got off the bus, and Ed sheepishly asked me, "Were any old women feeling your leg on that bus?" I hope you've all heard some stories about Ed's adventurous side. I think he's just told his parents. I hope you've all heard some stories about Ed's adventurous side you may not have been aware of. And now together, Ed and Sophia embark upon their greatest adventure of all. Will you all please be upstanding and raise a glass? To a lifetime of love and adventure, Ed and Sophia.
Okay, so you'll be glad to know this speech is going to be much shorter. After Adam's dry comedy and the hired-in slapstick comedy, we've got a few sort of thank yous to say. As you can imagine, setting all this out took a fair bit of effort. So the first thank you is to everybody who's put in time, whether small or large, to make this all happen. Because it's been a team effort. There's been a lot of us here for a couple of days. There's been people making plates in Glasgow and in, setting stuff up in Norway and whatever else. It's all appreciated. Thank you very much. But there's 3 people in particular I'd like to thank for this. Number 1 is Auntie Zada, who has always been here for us for a while, and thank you. And the second one is to my mum, Fiona. So what Mum would not like you to know is how much work she does behind the scenes in making things like jacket potatoes and yes, exactly, and just making things run smoothly and visibly. And much can be said the same for Paveen, and this one's for you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. So it's very nice to be said that I've been welcomed with open arms into Paveen and Sadiq's family. And I particularly appreciate the food. But the main thing today is about Sophia. So you've heard a lot of details about our lives, both a long time ago, Dad, and more recently. So you've already heard the story about how 5 years ago I met the love of my life, and it wasn't in an overwhelming movie-style manner, but in a much more mundane setting, in a fairly boring meeting. I'm blaming David for it being fairly boring. Dry chairman. But that in its own way is exactly what's special about Sophia. To me, she effortlessly brightens up the mundane. And I guess that's what I love about you. You also believe in me, well past any rational reason. And that provides both support for my failures and a spur for me to keep trying until I eventually succeed. Or still fail, At least I'll know when I fail, eh? However, don't let me make you all think that Sophie's perfect, because she definitely isn't. But given the length of the speeches so far, I haven't got time to tell you about it. In truth, though, those unmentioned imperfections just don't matter. Because in spite of them, and because of who you are, I love you, Sophia. And I will love you ever more every day. Just a drink. So the next thing is, there's a little bit of food. There's some brownies that you were supposed to have earlier that are coming out later. if they've survived, and tea and coffee. Once we finish that, it's time for music.
How about we make some noise for the bride and groom? Raise the roof, put your hands together as they crack the cake. There's nothing like
Call that done, because otherwise it's going to fall over. There's a down I've hit. Where are the caterers?
Go out, come on.
Probably breaking something.
What a beautiful couple. Let's see you put your hands together and raise the roof up with the We're now mere moments away from the magical first dance. We're just going to wait for the cake to be moved from the centre of the floor. Sophia and Anne, as they take their first dance as man and wife. Take your partner by the hand, let's celebrate. What a magical day. And a magical night. Come on everybody, hit the floor. I got a feeling tonight's gonna be a good night. Tonight's gonna be a good night. Tonight's gonna be. I got a feeling tonight's gonna be a good night. Tonight's gonna be a good night. Tonight's gonna be. Tonight's the night. Let's live it up. Do it, do it, do it. Let's do it, let's do it. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. I got a feeling tonight's gonna be a good night. Tonight's gonna be a good night. Tonight's gonna be to own. Feel the fear in my enemy's eyes. Listen as the crowd would sing. Now the old king is dead, God is the king. I'm it out here. We won't be
I hope you find the right man who'll fix it for you. If the time I go out by myself and I look across the border and I feel all the things what you do in my head, I think love. Sit on the moment from the fire, there, and I guess you're in the hair about the day.
so good, so good, I got you.
I feel nice, like sugar and spice. I feel nice, like sugar and spice, yeah. So nice, so nice, I got you.
Let me run around and hey, hey, skipping and jumping. Misty morning fun without hard stuff and you, a brown-eyed girl. You go high, la 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 la, la 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 la. Now in the morning I
winter clothes on me, and I discovered that my castle stand upon pillars of salt, pillars of sand. Here Jerusalem bells are ringing, Roman cavalry choirs are singing. Be my mirror, sword, and shield, missionaries in the far field. For some reason I can't explain, once you're gone there was never another this world. That was when I ruled the world. Let's hear you sing. Here Jerusalem bells ringing, Roman Catholic choirs are singing. Be my mirror, sword, and shield, missionaries in a foreign field. For some reason I can't explain, once you've gone there was never another this world. That was when I ruled the world. Do you ever feel like a plastic bag drifting through the wind, on inside again? Do you ever feel very deep, 6 feet under speed with no one to keep it in? Do you know that there's still a chance for you? Well, if I don't really mean if I don't feel the flu. Do you know that there's still a chance for you? There's a spot for you. You just gotta guide the light, the light shine. Just guide the light like the ball down your eye. Let me on the fire, your word. Never find your word. You gotta as we look at the sky. need me.
Thinking about the way I was in a heartbreak changing. Baby, look at where I ended up. I was already so dark and scary. I'm not ready to let you know. So, if you don't wanna see me, dancing with nobody. If you don't wanna leave me, and you can stop me. Don't show up, don't come out, don't stop caring about me now. Don't think stop, you know now. Don't stop caring about me now. I'm shutting down, try to help me with the word, but I thought it took time to survive you. And I'm the edge of your hair, and the way you like this. Stop making a fool out of me. Oh,
So good, I got you.